Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we are diving into an interesting what if topic. Historical figures who some might say were born in the wrong place or the wrong time. Imagine if certain people had been born in a different century or in a different country, how might their lives have changed? Would they have had an even greater impact or would they be different people altogether? Let's explore some incredible figures from history who seemed almost out of sync with the time and place they lived in. Let's jump in and get started. Nikola Tesla, the genius ahead of his time. Our first historical figure is Nikola Tesla, the brilliant inventor and electrical engineer. Tesla was born in 1856 in what's now Croatia, but he spent much of his life in the United States. Tesla's inventions were way ahead of his time. He created designs for wireless power transmission, alternating current, and even imagined technology that resembles Wi-Fi and smartphones today. Tesla's ideas were so advanced that many people around him didn't understand them. He faced financial struggles because investors didn't always see the practical use of his work. If he had been born in a time when technology was more advanced like today, imagine what Tesla could have accomplished with the resources and support of the modern world. Many people believe he would have been a celebrated billionaire inventor. Instead, he died poor and in obscurity. His genius only fully appreciated long after his death. Next, Joan of Arc, a visionary woman in a male-dominated time. Next, let's talk about Joan of Arc. Joan was born in 1412 in France, during a time when women had almost no rights, let alone military power. She was a peasant girl who believed she had been chosen by God to lead France to victory in the Hundred Years' War against England. Her courage and visions inspired her to become a leader, and she led the French army to several crucial victories. However, Joan lived in the era that was suspicious of women in power, and her strong faith and visions were seen as dangerous. Eventually, she was captured, tried for heresy, and burned at the stake at just 19 years old. If Joan had been born in a more progressive time, maybe she would have been celebrated for her strength and leadership instead of being executed. Today, Joan is seen as a hero and even a saint. But during her own time, her actions were far too radical for people to accept. Galileo Galilei, the scientist punished for his discoveries, Galileo Galilei, often called the father of modern science, is another figure who seems to have been born in the wrong time. Galileo was an astronomer and physicist born in 1564 in Italy. He made groundbreaking discoveries about our solar system, famously supporting the idea that the earth revolves around the sun. But this was during a time when the church held tremendous power and believed in a different model of the universe, that the sun revolved around the earth. Galileo's ideas directly challenged the church teachings, and he was tried by the Inquisition, forced to publicly renounce his findings and spend the rest of his life under house arrest. Imagine if Galileo had been born in a later time when science was more accepted, he might have continued his work freely and without fear. Today, his discoveries are widely respected, but in his own time, he faced intense opposition. Hypatia of Alexandria, a scholar in a time of turmoil. Hypatia, a remarkable mathematician, philosopher, and astronomer, was born in Alexandria, Egypt around 360 AD. She was highly educated and respected as a teacher and scientist, and her studies covered topics like geometry, astronomy, and philosophy. Hypatia was one of the few women of her time to be educated at such a high level, and her fame attracted both students and admirers. However, Hypatia lived during a period of political and religious turmoil. Christianity was rising in power, and tension existed between religious and scientific ideas. Hypatia was seen as a symbol of pagan knowledge, and unfortunately, she became a target of violent religious extremists. In 415 AD, she was murdered by a mob and her death marked a dark moment for science and education in Alexandria. If Hypatia had been born in more open-minded period, perhaps the Renaissance, she might have been able to make even more contribution to science and mathematics. Today she is remembered as a martyr for science, but her life was tragically cut short. Vincent van Gogh, an artist with a unique vision. Now let's talk about Vincent van Gogh, one of the most famous artists in the world. Van Gogh was born in 1853 in the Netherlands and is known for his unique and expressive style of painting. However, during his lifetime, his art wasn't appreciated and he sold only one painting. His style was seen as too unusual and even disturbing to the public and critics of his time. Van Gogh also struggled with mental health issues, which made it difficult for him to connect with people around him. He spent time in hospitals and eventually took his own life at age 37. Today his paintings are celebrated and sell for millions of dollars, and people appreciate his creativity and emotion. If he had been born in a later period with more understanding and treatment options for mental health, perhaps he could have found more peace and recognition during his lifetime. Socrates, a philosopher in the wrong era. Socrates, the famous Greek philosopher born around 470 BC, had a profound influence on Western philosophy. His method of questioning and encouraging critical thinking challenged the traditional beliefs in Athens, and he spent his life asking people to examine their values and beliefs. However, his ideas and methods threatened those in power who saw his influence as dangerous. In the end, Socrates was put on trial for corrupting the youth and disrespecting the gods. He was sentenced to death by drinking poison. Today, his approach to philosophy is widely respected, and students still study his ideas in classrooms around the world. If he had lived in a more open-minded society, perhaps he would have been able to spread his teachings further without persecution. Alan Turing, the codebreaker who wasn't fully accepted. Alan Turing, born in 1912 in England, was a mathematical genius who helped crack the German Enigma code during World War II. His work is credited with shortening the war and saving countless lives, and he is considered one of the fathers of modern computing. Turing's contribution to mathematics and computer science were groundbreaking. However, Turing faced immense prejudice because of his sexuality, which was criminalized in Britain at the time. After the war, he was prosecuted for being gay, chemically castrated, and treated horribly despite his invaluable contribution. If he had lived in more accepting time, Turing might have continued to contribute to science and technology for many more years. Today he is celebrated as a hero, but during his life he faced extreme challenges because of the laws and attitudes of his time. In conclusion, so what can we learn from these historical figures? Each one of them had something incredible to offer the world, but the time or place they lived in held them back in some way. Whether it was a lack of understanding, prejudice, or cultural limits, they faced unique challenges that make us wonder, what if they had been born in a different time or place? These stories remind us that society and its rules have impact on individuals. Sometimes the most brilliant minds struggle because of their surroundings. Today we can honor these people by learning from their lives and ensuring that future generations have the freedom to explore, invent, and express themselves. Thank you for watching, and let us know in the comments if there is someone you think was born in the wrong place or time.